Alright, what's up guys? Good to pull here. Doing, I guess, the beginning of my tips and tricks video for Kindred, because I was asked to make an updated one for 1K and kind of go more in depth and try to explain things and give my feedback on things. So again, take note first, this is not a perfect guide. Everybody has their own playstyle. This is based around my playstyle personally, and people have been, I guess people like my playstyle, so they want to know what I use and how I go about it. So I'm going to show my runes and masteries now. But for the builds, because Kindred's build is kind of really situational, after I show like the first clear and kind of tips and tricks, I'm gonna have on screen. I'm gonna show all the items that I recommend you build on Kindred. But obviously, because it's situational, you have to build the certain set of items that you think will fit that game. Because you can build mostly anything on Kindred and get away with it. But I'm gonna show the items that I personally prefer and try to explain the situation that I'd use them in. Or, I mean, it should be fairly obvious, like, say you see a maul, you should know that's AP burst, say you see a Sterox gauge, that's 80 burst, but, yeah, we're gonna get into the runes masteries for now. First of all, my runes, this is the rune page I'm currently using more often than not. It's 80 marks, attack speed glyphs, and quints, and armor seals. Pretty much everything in here can be kind of fit to your own personal style, except for I would never change the seals. I personally always prefer armor seals just because it helps so much in your first clear having them. But for your glyphs, some people take MR glyphs, some take attack speed glyphs. Use whichever you prefer. Me personally, I prefer attack speed unless I'm against an AP jungler, but if you prefer attack speed, or not attack speed, MR, and you feel more comfortable that way and feel safer, take MR, just take whichever ones you feel better with. As for Quints, I personally only use attack speed. So I know there's some people using move speed. That's not my type of thing. I don't like the move speed. As much as I'd love for Kindred to have more move speed, I think the like almost 15% attack speed you get from this, it's 13.5, but I think that pretty much the attack speed you get from the Quints is just too nice to want to really pass up. And for the marks, you can use 3 different marks in my opinion. You can use lethality marks if you want to shred squishies, but it doesn't help with your clear at all, as most camps either have like 0 armor or negative armor. Personally, I prefer 80 marks right now, as it helps the clear initially, and it gives you a little bit more damage on your autos against people. But you could also take attack speed, which I like the attack speed, because it does speed up your clear a bit, because obviously you're attacking more, but I just decided, like, I kind of just like the 80 overall more. As for Masteries, Kindred's pretty versatile in terms of Mastery, because they don't have a perfectly, like, fit keystone for them. They currently have 4 keystones they can build and get away with. Essentially, this is my preferred page right now. You can take Runic Affinity or Assassin, whichever you prefer. Same with Natural Talent. You can take Vampirism if you're not very good at kiting and you like a little bit of lifesteal. That's not bad to have either. But I'll try to go through my thoughts of why I have everything. Attack speed on Kindred, that should be pretty obvious. Attack speed is amazing on Kindred. For fresh blood instead of like feast or something, or exposed weaknesses, I take fresh blood because even though it's not a lot of initial damage, like extra damage, it's really nice if you say fight somebody early on in the jungle, just to have that initial extra, like let's say you're a level 3 and you catch somebody out. On that first auto, let's say you get an extra 13 damage, because health pools aren't that high, an extra 13 damage couldn't necessarily be the difference between life or death there. I just liked having a little bit of extra damage just because, I mean, in this meta against mainly assassins and things, damage is almost everything. Natural talent for the more damage. I can kite well enough that I don't really need lifesteal. Double-edged sword isn't bad either. Or actually, well, it's not bad. It's not great. But it's probably, out of these 3, it's my more preferred one. I don't like Battle Trance because, I mean, it's not, 3 seconds is in a league a long time, but at the same time it's not a long time early game to stack to get 3% extra damage, but I like having it initially at the start of a fight, and I don't really care if I take 1.5% extra damage. I'm squishy enough to the point where it doesn't matter in the end. If with how squishy you are, the 1.5% damage probably isn't going to be the difference between if you live or die. I mean, it could be, but I just prefer having my damage initially. Bounty Hunter is also not bad if you think you're going to kill most of the people on their team, because you can actually get more overall damage in the game than Double-Edged Sword if you kill, like, 4 people on their team, 4 separate people. Battering Blows is also, obviously, you have no magic penetration or magic scaling on Kindred, so you should never have the magic pen one. That's just straight away, like, never have this one. But armor pen is very nice on Kindred. And Warlords Bloodlust is my personal favorite keystone right now, just because I like the little, I know the little bit of lifesteal isn't big early game, and I know it's getting changed, but the change really isn't that huge either. It's still going to be good. But I like how you can proc its movement speed quite often in a fight, and I like how it works on jungle camps, because it helps with kiting a little bit as well. It's my preferred one, but again, you have 4 different options for keystones on Kindred. You can take Fervor if you like to spend the time to stack it. And it makes your autos do a bit more damage because obviously every champion's auto attack scale with AD or AP. But I personally just prefer the Warlords because I like the move speed to get it, and the lifesteal late game isn't bad. Savagery for my cutting tree, just because single target attacks, because I don't really care about the out of combat movement speed. Again, that's something that would be nice to have. That's more preference, but I just prefer savagery. I take assassin sometimes and runic affinity other times. Depends who I'm jungling against. If I know it's somebody who's going to invade me, having assassin to kind of hope I can fight them and contest them a bit is very useful to have. Merciless, just because you don't really have mana problems in the jungle because you get a talisman. So, doing more damage to champions with a certain amount of health is my preferred thing. And Greenfather's gift, just because essentially it's the same thing as Fresh Blood. That little extra burst damage you can get from, like, if you walk into a bush or get caught out in your jungle, having that extra little bit of damage can be the difference between life or death. But Dangerous Game is nice. I just prefer having the extra damage. Another set of rune pages for Kindred is something like this. Let's say you want Runic Affinity. This is another really good rune page, just because Storm Raider Surge is also good on Kindred, because the movement speed and the slow resist is very good, and it lasts longer than Warlords does, but it doesn't give you any form of lifesteal or sustain, which is why I like Warlords. You can also take Thunderlords, because it just gives you initial burst. Again, not bad. Either one works, in my opinion. You don't need CDR on Kindred, like, you don't, so always take the Precision for the lethality. And pretty much that's that for that. I'm also going to experiment with another keystone in bad matchups, so don't take this for anything. But I know people used to take Strength of the Ages on Kindred, and essentially you took it for the extra health in bad matchups. So I'm thinking about trying a keystone, let's say like, what would be a good one? Let's take this. 2S, alright, we'll take this. Shields and healing, or the health. And I'm thinking about trying something like this on Kindred. It's not gonna, I don't expect it to be, or not that, I don't expect it to be great. But the main reason I'm thinking about taking this is because, essentially, people used to take Strength of the Ages for health and stuff in the bad matchups. So essentially with Stoneboard Pack, I'm thinking if you're in a bad matchup where you know you're not going to get ahead, having the extra 5% total health, plus having your E to slow somebody down, and heal your teammates for that might be beneficial to you. You might not do the most damage, but you might be able to help your team out while still remaining relevant if you get your marks, but you won't have your like other damage and stuff. So I'm going to experiment with this. Don't take that one for like anything that it is going to be great or bad, but that's pretty much it for the Runes and Masteries. I'm going to move on to the actual clearing game. I just wanted to go in depth with my thoughts here, so I hope you guys enjoyed that part. And yeah, I'm going to move on to the actual game and show you how I do my first clear, and try to show you some more of the advanced tricks and like how you use Wolf to get vision and certain stuff like that. So yeah, see you guys in a minute. We're back in game, about to get ready for the leash. I'm kind of starting this a little earlier so I can kind of explain it. My first start is always the machete opposed to talisman, because you'll always be close enough to get to your blue buff without having mana problems on Kindred. I have a friend here who's going to leash for me, so your leash would be a little bit better, because normally you'd start with a support and an AD carry who are leashing you, but I didn't have 2 friends on, so I only have 1 leashing me right now. This time we're doing the red start, which is going to be red to wolves to blue to mark, and then, or if the mark spot side, then you do your crom. But say you start blue side, just clear your entire blue side, then go to your mark, and then bot side. That's the way I always start my games. So, pretty much, people have been asking me to do kind of a video of my clear and how I kite and how I like kind of prevent damage and stuff. So, this is pretty much going to be it, or how I kind of stay healthier in my clear, I guess would be the way to say it. So that's just kind of the point. But yeah, so it's red to wolves to blue, and then either Gromp, or if the mark's up here, it's blue to mark to Gromp, or gank, and then it's, if not, if the mark's down here, then it's Gromp to either gank or rotate to the mark down low if there's no gank opportunities. Odds are I don't gank before level 3, unless I have a, what is it, unless I have a counter gank. Essentially, this is what you do though. You run it around. You might take 1 or 2 hits from your leash. Normally you'd have a support who took the hits though instead of your AD carry or you, but I mean, again, that's not a big deal. So you clear that. You run up here to your wolves. What a lot of people do when they kill the wolves is they take a lot of damage, so I don't attack them right away. I come over here, attack Q over the wall, which prevents the wolves from hitting you for a minute, and then as soon as your Q's back up, Q over the wall, kite them backwards again, attack them. This helps prevent you from taking a lot of damage. As you can see, I've not taken very much damage, and I've already cleared 2 camps. Come over to your blue buff, attack it, and when I kite my blue buff, I tend to bring it down towards this wall, W around this wall, start cutting it around the wall, and then when my Q comes back up, Q over the wall, and run up towards this middle rock though, or else it will walk in the bush, and if you don't have vision in the bush, you'll lose vision. Obviously this clears a little bit slower than normal just because I didn't have a 2-man leash, so that's what happens when you're a little bit slower killing your first buff. The mark spawn bottom, so what I tend to do is clear my Gromp, which you pull it out of the pit to kite it while it's in its enraged mode for its first 5 attacks, and then essentially just walk it around and use your range to just make it not really attack you. As you can see, I've cleared 3 camps, I'm pretty much full health, and I haven't used my smite yet. So, obviously since there's no gank available right now in a private match, if my mark was up here, I'd go to my mark, and if there was a gank opportunity, I'd gank that lane. But to move on with the clear is, now that I cleared down there, I would be running to my mark, which is essentially down here. Still haven't used a single one of my smites, still full health. This is just, obviously, there's a lot of other factors that can come in here, like say you were invaded or something, or you did go for a gank. Things wouldn't be exactly the same. But you clear your mark. You don't be afraid to use your W to clear whenever you're doing things. Go away. Shoot. Alright. For the raptors, what I do is I attack one of the ones with normal auto attack, and I Q away and W. Kite them around, run them around, and clear the small ones first, because the small ones are the ones that do a majority of the damage. And as you can see, I'm finally starting to take a bit of damage in the jungle, but despite that, almost back to full health. You may not have 2 smites if you smited your first mark in case there was the enemy jungle was around, but same thing for the Krugs. Essentially, you just use your E, use your abilities, run them around, kite them, stuff like that. Pretty much this is the clear for Kindred. Like, that's how you stay healthy with your clear. A lot of people struggle with it and almost like die and stuff in their clear. There's really no reason you get low at all in your clear. A little 1 reset there. I hate these Krugs just because they reset based on where they split at, but oh well. Essentially, that's your first clear. If you, obviously it's a bit slower than normal because I only had 1-man leash. Or so let's say that's a clear like if you started top, but that's how you take little to no damage in your clear. I only used 1 smite during that clear, and I didn't use any potions, and I'm full health. So, yeah. I'm gonna have the items on the screen now. Essentially, I'm just going to run around and attack things so I can have enough time to put all the items on the screen. Essentially, the items you're going to be seeing on screen now, though, like Maw, Starox, Blood Razor, all that stuff, in the description which I'm doing, those are the items that I kind of adapt into my build, and I build whichever ones are fit for that game. Essentially, those are the only items I'd personally build, but again, it's up to you. You can build crit and you can build lethality as well and get away with it, but these are the items that I personally prefer. Other than that, though, that's pretty much it. I'm going to move on now to the advanced stuff, so I'm going to switch over to Practice Tool for that because some of it's a lot easier to do in Practice Tool because you have your cooldowns reset, so if you mess up, and it's a lot easier to, obviously you should use Practice Tool to practice some things, but yeah, I'm going to move on to them now. So as soon as I think that's going to be the end of the video after those little like other tricks because I don't really know what else to include into it, but yeah. So see you guys in a minute with the Practice Tool session. We're back, and I'm in Practice Tool this time because it's easier to show the little advanced tips and tricks for Practice Tool. These things are not as practical to use in a live game. Well, some of them are, some of them aren't. So there's 3 little advanced tricks, I guess you could say, with Kindred. 2 of them are wall hops, one of them's the way to get vision, another one's the animation cancel. well, they're not necessarily all that practical to use, but you could use them for like saying cheesy, doing kind of like a cheesy little like invade or something. So you know they're at the red. But let's get into it. The first one is the bottom side red wall jump. These types of wall jumps and stuff, they're not very practical because they're not the easiest thing to get into. But what I try to do is, you see that corner right there on that log, try to click on that corner and then kind of look for these like back here, these little like cracks in the ground, and just Q to them. And then to do it vice versa, you go to those cracks in the ground and you aim towards the corner. So that's how you do the bottom side red wall jump. It's not as practical. I mean, it can save you maybe a couple seconds if you're trying to get the red, or I mean, if you were able to get lucky and get into position quickly, you can maybe like save your life. But is it all that practical? Again, probably not. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world, or especially in like a clutch situation. I mean, again, it could be used maybe to do a cheesy little like invade if you knew he was at his red or something, but not easy. But I mean, it's not necessarily the hardest thing in the world. Another thing is, you can come over the thin walls like this, and you can W, and Wolf will go on the other side of the wall and get you vision. Like, for instance, I'm pretty sure you can do the same thing like over here and W, and Wolf gets vision of the bush. So, yeah. Another thing you can do is you can do the same thing at the dragon pit. You just walk up to the side. Redkin has a full list of everywhere you can do these, so I'd suggest looking at that for the full list of everywhere you can do these. But walk up to the side, W like this, and the wolf will go over and you can get vision. Next I'm going to show you the other side of the map. I'll show you the Barren Pit vision. What I try to do for this one is you walk up to this crack like that, and just, it's not this one is one that I kind of struggle with getting into a good spot. You gotta walk up to this crack correctly, and then just W, and Wolf will go over into the Barren Pit. These ones are ones that I suck at doing. Yeah. I have not very practiced with that. Then this is the top side wall jump. It's not the same as the other one. It's a bit different. What I try to do is, you see these little lightly green like grass growing up on the wall right there? I try to click in between, like right there, and then you gotta look right around here. And like around the top of this branch, midway into this little crack in the floor, you kind of like got to go to the middle of that and Q, and then vice versa to get out. This one's a bit harder for me to do. The bottom one's a lot easier in my opinion, but it's not. This one's necessarily not the hardest either. Again, you could use it to get a little cheeky like red invade. It's not, again, the easiest thing to do or easiest thing to position in a clutch situation, but I mean, it's definitely possible. Again, all these things you should practice in with the practice tool to get used to them if you're gonna try them in live games. Another thing is, I'll try to show you here. It's Barren. Let's if I'm gonna show you on Barren, it's probably not. I probably should just go to the dragon. Yeah, we'll go to the dragon. Where's the teleport? I just used it. There it is. Oh, you're not alive, dragon. Why aren't you alive? Oh, right there. Good. There we go. Forgot. All right. Get out of here. Okay. Another thing is the animation cancel. As you can see, I'll attack it. Normal Q is you do that full jump back and everything. Yeah, cool. What you can do if you're early game taking a dragon is, once you get your back against a thick wall and you're in your W, you Q and it with the back to the thick wall, and as you can see, it does the Q a lot faster, and then you can auto immediately again. So auto Q auto comes out that fast, which is really nice to have, because that animation cancel can be the difference between getting a dragon early game and not. I mean, it also helps you clear a bit faster. It's not necessarily all that practical to use in most cases. You might be able to use it in, say, a 1v1 if you could find a thick wall and you could get into it, but again, it's not a very practical thing to do. I could only ever see it being used on dragon and maybe like Baron, but it's just something that's not necessarily used or known by everybody. It's not the most useful thing in the game either. But that's pretty much all I have for the little, like, I guess, more advanced tips and tricks for him, although, again, they're not the most practical things. If there's anything I left out in this guide, please let me know next time, and I'll try to, like, comment it and maybe mention it in the beginning of my next video if I left anything out. But thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and also thank you again one final time for 1,000 subs. There will be a 24-hour live stream, well, 12 to 24-hour live stream on the 18th of March. So that's a Saturday, and that's when I plan to do a 12 to 24 hour live stream. I appreciate you guys though, everyone for subbing, and see you guys next time.